I was concerned that the Black community is not getting the memo. You know, I just wanted to make sure that we know that this community does know and understand that there's another option. There's another good, viable option, probably a better option than the options that we've been presented with. I'm seeing a lot of type 2 diabetes, kidney disease, PCOS, all these metabolic syndromes, heart disease, strokes, all of this stuff that probably could be prevented
Mm.
with a dietary change, a simple dietary change. When I say simple, I mean it's a very simple method, not necessarily easy to do, but we're not getting the memo. I felt like a call, literally, from God to speak out about it. We need to at least hear the message that this is an option for you to try.
I'm super excited to talk to Robin Heron today, the carnivorous grandma. Hi, Robin. How you doing?
Hey, Adam, I'm doing good. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Robin, for those that aren't familiar with you, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name, of course, is Robin Heron. My YouTube channel is at Carnivorous Grandma. And I am 57 years old. I'm married and I have 11 grandchildren. So
Wow.
when I, yes. So when I thought about, starting my YouTube channel, I kind of tried to think about who am I today, really, and really, Carnivorous Grandma just resonated with me since my main persona these days is actually being a grandma to my 11 grandkids. So that's who I am. And I live in Michigan, Kalamazoo, and that's pretty much about me. The main things about me: I'm on a carnivore diet. I started carnivore February 22nd, 2023. So I'm heading towards my 1 year anniversary in February. I'm really excited about that and just excited about the diet and just the revelations that I'm having around the way of eating and that kind of thing. So it's been really, really awesome so far.
Awesome. I love that. So you're on the carnivore diet, obviously, with a channel name like Carnivorous Grandma.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where did you first hear about the carnivore diet? Like, what were you doing before that?
So I actually had heard about, I mean, I did Atkins way back in I guess in the early 2000s. I had tried Atkins. I've done all kinds of diets. And, but Atkins induction phase was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Right.
Hmm.
But once you get through the induction, you're supposed to only be in induction for 2 weeks at 20 carbs or less. And then you're supposed to try to climb the carb ladder. Well, that climb up the carb ladder was always my downfall, even though I knew Atkins induction was like perfection. Um, Eventually, I found my way to keto, and I did keto for 5 years strong. I mean, I just was on keto. I didn't cheat, um, and I lost a lot of weight. I did really well on it, but then I started eating things that were outside of the keto plan. I started doing a lot of keto treats and that kind of stuff, making all the recreations of all the things that I missed from my regular standard American diet, and then I fell off. So for the last 5 years, um, I've been struggling to get back onto keto, back and forth, trying to, kept trying again. And I just kept falling off. I would try something. A couple of years ago, I tried some sweet corn, and that was like the end of the end because I just once I ate that sweet corn in the summer, which I felt like, oh my gosh, I deserve this. It's summer. And
Right.
in Michigan, we get great sweet corn and great strawberries and apples and all that kind of stuff. So that I love corn and I love like popcorn and stuff like that. So once I ate that sweet corn, it's been 2 years and I struggled really hard to get back on. I just could not find my way back onto keto. And I started, of course, gaining all this weight. Um, I started getting up towards around close to 200 pounds. And I said, and I always, that's my threshold. Like I can't go above 200 pounds. So at
Right.
199, that's it. I got to do something. So I had been listening to Dr. Barry mainly.
Mhm.
And, I was watching him go from keto to carnivore. Um, and I was like, and I saw him do that, saw him transition, saw how he was thriving on carnivore. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and try it. So February 22nd, I decided to just try it. And I didn't really have trouble getting into it because I had already been trying to get back on keto, and my
Mm.
body has been fat adapted for a long time. So I didn't have really a hard transition. It was just a mindset, like getting your mind in the place to be able to just everything else out and eat only meat. And so Ken Berry, he is the one who got me to try it.
Okay, awesome. So now that you're carnivorous, do you still have those carb cravings?
I typically do not. I was just I was thinking about some of the benefits because I just had my 300-day um, review.
Mhm.
And one of the benefits, one of the main best things is the food freedom and not having cravings, not having to continually obsess about food, which is what I've been doing my whole life. Um, but during the holidays, during this Christmas holiday particularly, I did have a couple of cravings for things that I haven't really thought about. Some of the things that we were having during the holiday, I had like just an inkling of wanting to have something,
Mhm.
um, and, I just didn't do it, but I did have what I would consider to be a craving for something, just some of the stuff that we traditionally have at Christmas time. So, but I just filled up on all the meats. Once you're full, it's okay, you don't
Right.
have to worry about it, but it's when you're hungry, you have to think about, "Oh my gosh, what should I do?" And I'm pretty much an all or nothing kind of a person. So I've decided that this is my lifestyle. And so I don't really cheat on it.
That's awesome. So, obviously, you struggled with, carb cravings before, eating this way. So what is it like to not actually really have essentially any carb cravings now?
It's like freedom. Mentally, it's like if I think about the way that I used to be about food, it was totally obsessive. I was constantly thinking about food, constantly worrying about food, like thinking if I'm gonna go someplace, what am I gonna have to eat? Um, and even when I was on keto, a lot of times you would go places and they would have things that have sugar or whatever in it, and you just can't eat it. So I would be mad, like mad at these people for not making sure that there was something there that I could eat.
Right?
So I don't have to think about that anymore. And I realized that the state of mind that I was in around food was really, really kind of not a great state of mind. I was just obsessive about it.
Mhm.
Whereas today, I really don't think about food unless I'm hungry. Um, and I only eat when I'm hungry. I'm not snacking a lot, where I used to snack on chips and popcorn and, always having something in your mouth.
Right.
And I really don't have that problem anymore because I don't have those cravings. Um,
That's
I
awesome.
think I might have craved a piece of gum or something. Like,
Oh, no. It's
I
the end of the
craved
world.
some gum because my husband bought a big old pack of gum and I'm like, oh, that looks good. But I don't do sweeteners anymore. I gave up sweeteners, I gave up coffee, and I'm like, "Okay." Today I was listening to somebody and they were saying, "For candida, you should give up dairy." I'm like, no, not another thing."
Right?
Right.
So, are you still eating some dairy?
I do. I have cheese sometimes, and then I do have heavy cream every now and then. I do eat sour cream, like if I'm out at a restaurant or something, I will
Mhm.
dip my steak or burger in sour cream, and butter. And
Nice.
but yeah, so I do have some dairy, but not it's crazy, but yeah, I do have some. I probably could give it up, but I'm just not ready yet.
Right, right. Well, if you don't have any issues with it, then, why would you
That's
need to?
sure, that's the thing. So, one of the issues that I've been dealing with is anxiety, like severe anxiety. And I realized over the past couple of weeks that it was like I had kind of felt a resolution. It was coming down, 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 and then all of a sudden I see it going back up again. So I'm trying to troubleshoot to see what is it that I have had
Mhm.
that could be contributing to that. So
Right.
that's the thing that I'm working on.
Well, maybe it is the dairy. Who knows?
Yeah,
It does
that's
some
not.
strange things. Yeah, I definitely noticed a difference for me, with acne and,
Mm,
told my weight loss, and I just try to stay completely away from it now.
wow. Yeah, that's I mean, I'm not really losing a lot of weight, so it could be possible that it's because I'm still having cheese and cream and sour cream and stuff, that I'm not losing a lot of weight.
Mhm.
Um, but I just have not I haven't pulled the trigger on that one. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I know, I did crave some coffee. That was one thing that I did crave over the holidays because usually after we have our big holiday meal, we'll sit around and drink coffee and talk and, they'll have cake and whatever. And I always would just have the coffee. So I did have a craving for some coffee over the holidays.
Well, that's better than a cake or a Snickers bar, I guess, right?
Right, right, right. I mean, I think I probably could have coffee. Uh, that's probably something that I would not go crazy over. you
Right.
know, lose my whole mind and go back to my old way of eating over drinking a cup of coffee.
Mhm.
But I haven't done it yet, and I haven't really realized the benefit that I thought I would from giving it up yet.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say how great they feel after giving up coffee, but I have not really realized that benefit yet.
Right. Yeah, when I gave up coffee, it wasn't that huge of a difference in terms of how I felt. Now,
Right.
not being a slave to caffeine,
There you
that
go.
was that
That's the
was
thing.
that felt better for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So that's the
So
thing. I don't have that caffeine addiction anymore. Even I had bought the caffeine pills. Dr. Shafee actually was the person who got me to actually give up the sweeteners in the coffee.
mhm.
Uh, because in the beginning, I had tried a 30-day no sweets challenge. Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, she's always talking about, getting out of that sweetener addiction. But recently, within the last couple of months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, I heard Dr. Chafee talking about it, and he was like, "You need to give that up immediately." So I did.
Or yes, sir.
Yes, sir, exactly. So I gave up the sweeteners, and then a couple of weeks later, I gave up the coffee. And it is really nice not having to be a slave to that addiction. I bought the caffeine pills and was trying just to make sure that I wasn't going to have that severe headache or be unable to function at work, you
Right.
know. So I took a couple of them, but after that, it was no problem. I just didn't have any um, bad withdrawals from getting off of it. So that was pretty good. I was happy.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I did the whole caffeine pill trick and it worked. Chafee was
Hmm.
right.
Yeah, he was. He was. No headache. And, that is the main thing. Like that headache, the caffeine headache is a killer.
Yes, for
Terrible.
sure.
So I've gone on and off coffee many times, and I've always had that terrible splitting headache. So that the caffeine pills really helped a lot with that.
Yep. Well, that splitting headache is, further evidence for Dr. Chafee that plants are trying to kill
I
you.
kill you. Yes, that's right. They are.
So what specific, health changes have you seen, going, to a carnivore diet?
Wow. Okay. So the first thing that I noticed was that I did not have, well, first of all, the first 30 days of going on the carnivore diet, I had diarrhea
Right?
straight for 30 days. And the only thing that kept me going on it was I knew that I was going to do 90 days. I was not expecting that though. So
Mhm.
anybody who's going to try it, like, just beware. That could be a possibility as your microbiome changes over. Then
For
it
sure.
just like expels everything. So, but I was struggling with IBS and constipation. So the opposite problem. like not being able to go. And so that was the first thing to go, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and then I noticed that I needed less sleep. Um, and because I've always been a person that goes to bed early and goes to sleep, and sleeps at least 8 hours. Well,
Mhm.
these days, I'm only sleeping like probably 6 hours, maybe
Wow.
6.5 hours. I'll go upstairs and go to bed, and I'll just lay there for like a long time, couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours.
Right.
Go to sleep. Um, and then I'm waking up earlier. So I just my body needs less sleep than it used to. So that's really good. My snoring is less, so I have sleep apnea. And I noticed that my sleep apnea went from about 15 to 11 to 15 episodes per hour down to one or less than one.
Oh, wow.
So it's not gone. Yeah, it's not gone all the way, but I mean, it's like almost gone.
Right.
So that was really cool. I went to the eye doctor. The eye doctor told me that my prescription didn't change for the first time in, I don't know, 30 years or so. It keeps getting progressively worse every year. This year the prescription didn't change, which was like, I'm like, that's crazy.
Right.
For me, that's
Right.
crazy. Like, yeah, that's really, really awesome. Um my eczema is a lot better. I was using an eczema cream on my face
Mhm.
for since I was about 20 years old. I've been using this cream, steroid cream on my face. And I noticed that I hadn't used it in like 9 months. I was like, wow,
Mm,
that's crazy.
that's cool.
Cause, it's always, I've always had eczema around my eyes and around my mouth, um, and other parts of my body that are just not having an eczema problem right now. But I do have this hydrotic eczema, which is on my hands, it's like blisters in the hands,
Mhm.
and certain things that I eat do flare that up. So I'll be like, I'll just give one example because this is the one thing that I know did it was these chomps, um, processed beef sticks.
Mhm.
They cause my IBS to come back and also cause an eczema flare. So there's been a few things that have caused that eczema to flare in my hands, but really the hands is the only place that I've been really dealing with eczema. So that's really awesome because that's something that I've had since I was a baby.
Mhm.
And then also seasonal allergies. I didn't get them this year.
Oh,
And
awesome.
like my seasonal allergy, I literally have to take or have had to take allergy pills all year round because I'm allergic to something in every single season. Many things.
Yikes.
I'm allergic to animals and I'm allergic to dust and I'm allergic to trees and grasses, everything, everything, mold. So this
Goodness.
year in the spring, I was like, oh, wow. I'm not everybody else is sneezing and coughing and, struggling with their seasonal allergies, taking allergy pills and stuff, rubbing their eyes, and I wasn't. I was like, "This is really interesting." When then the fall came around and I was like, "Okay, so we're gonna just see what happens." I made a video about it, and
Mhm.
I was like, "Let's just see," because I think carnivores don't have allergies.
For sure.
And, in the fall, I maybe took 2 allergy pills the entire time.
Mhm.
Now recently we've been having this really weird weather for Michigan. It's been like 40, 50 degrees outside. And I've had a little bit of, I mean, it's so insignificant compared to what I normally have
Mhm.
that I almost don't want to call it that. But I mean, I did have to take a couple allergy pills.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, yeah. So it's just, I mean, that's something that literally, I've had these terrible allergies all of my life, so I'm really excited about that one.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's really cool. So let's rewind and go back to your eczema. So
Mhm.
how long had you lived with the eczema issue?
So all my life, since I was an infant, when I was an infant, my mom used to have to put socks on my hands and, everything because I was always, like, scratching myself as a baby.
Mhm.
And I always had like when I remember as a kid having like this dark ring around my neck where it would be eczema and behind the knees and in the elbows is where the thing usually flares up at.
Right.
Um, and I was always dealing with it, just itching, itching, itching all the time. And then as I got a little bit older, maybe in my late teens to early 20s, this hydrotic eczema started showing it up on my hands where I had these blisters on my fingers.
Mhm.
And I would go and get cortisone shots into my hands to try to clear that up. I mean, it's been really, really bad because to the point where my entire palms peeled off, all my finger
Wow.
prints peeled off. I had to go get fingerprinted because I was gonna travel,
Mhm.
overseas, and I didn't have fingerprint.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah,
Wow. That's
pretty
really
pretty
that
severe
yeah,
eczema, yeah,
that'd be tough to deal with for sure.
yeah,
So
and
have you
it itches very bad.
you had mentioned that when you eat certain foods it kind of flares up a little bit. I recently have come into an issue with histamine intolerance. I don't think it's
Mm,
something that's new. I think it's just something that I've noticed now because
mhm,
I'm on the carnivore diet, and I talked to a couple folks that have eczema, and the issue with them was foods with histamines in them, and sausages, things like that are high in
mhm,
histamine, and egg
okay.
whites and things like that. So I don't know if you've ever looked in any connection with histamines and eczema.
I haven't, but I definitely will do some research on that because I do eat a lot of egg and egg whites.
Hmm.
So, and I think I have heard that egg whites, a lot of people have allergies to egg whites, and I think my granddaughter, one of my granddaughters, has an allergy to egg white. Like, if the egg like, if you bake a cake, let's say, and the egg is all the way mixed in, she could
Hmm.
eat it. But if there's any kind of egg white that's not all the way emulsified, I guess, she'll
Right.
have an allergic reaction to it. So that could be a possibility. That I might have some kind of sensitivity to egg whites. I've noticed that I seem to have a sensitivity to chicken, which
Hmm.
I'm denying. I'm in denial right now about that because I love chicken,
Right. Yeah,
but I do
definitely,
seem to have
definitely
a
take a look into that because
yeah, I will.
I stopped eating the egg whites, and it
Mhm.
definitely improved my condition
Oh,
with the
wow.
histamine intolerance.
Okay.
And that like aged cheeses is another one. Anything
Mm,
that's aged or aged meat, smoked meats is another
okay.
one that has is
Smoked
high in
meats are definitely yeah, smoked meats are definitely a problem for me. I noticed that I chose the very cleanest like smoked sausages that I could find, like the chomps. They're really clean technically,
Mhm.
but immediately my IBS flared up with that and also with smoked sausage.
Wow. Yeah, definitely take a look into that. You may have a
Mhm.
histamine intolerance for sure because
Yeah.
I have that's the issue that I have when I eat the egg whites or smoked meats. It's nausea and bowel symptoms for sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
one of the side effects.
I'll definitely check into that because that's something that I need to address. Is well, I just gave up the smoked meat. But, if it's like egg white, then that would be quite a big change in my diet again, is to just switch off from egg whites. So,
Right.
but yeah, I'll definitely take a look into that because the dyshydrotic eczema is bad enough that I have to take Benadryl, which I really don't want to take Benadryl,
Hmm.
but it itches so bad that I have to take it.
Right.
Um,
And what
and
is Benadryl? Benadryl is an
yeah,
antihistamine.
hmm yep,
So
it is.
that makes sense that that you have a sensitivity to histamine if that's helping you for sure.
Interesting. Okay. I'll definitely check into it, Adam. That
Yeah, there's a
sounds
video that Lynn DeVoke that she came out with about histamine
okay.
intolerance, and
Oh, I'll check
she
that
goes
out.
through it from a carnivore perspective. Like these
Nice.
foods are high in histamine, and these foods are low in histamine in relation to a carnivore diet. So it'd be perfect. So yeah,
Yes, I'll
definitely
definitely check that out.
for sure. I'll link that below, and I'll send that to you personally. to check
Thank
out
you
for
so
sure.
much. I appreciate that. That's what
Absolutely.
I love about this community. Everybody's so helpful and we all like really want the best for each other. So we're really trying to help each other out. I just love that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So have you noticed any, like with me, I have a huge like reduction in inflammation and things like that. Have you seen anything like that?
Yes. Oh, yes. I have my list somewhere. Yes. So I noticed that like there was this spot on my foot and I did not have it wasn't diagnosed, but I
Mhm.
wondered if it was gout. Um and I noticed like when I would wear flip-flops or something, I could feel it like right in between my first and second toe, like around the knuckle of my toes, of my feet. And um I noticed that that went away. And it would just swell, and then it would go down, and it would swell and go down, so I thought, "Well, that seems like gout-ish."
Right?
Um, Also, just all overall inflammation all over my whole body. My knees were swollen, everything was swollen. So, but yes, the inflammation is definitely down, and that is, that water weight, I guess I call it water weight.
Right.
Um, I don't really have too much of a problem with inflammation overall, unless I eat something that I shouldn't be eating. And when I say shouldn't be eating, it's something carnivore, which is really sad.
Right.
I have
Sure.
food sensitivities, so I can still, even though it's carnivore, I still may not be able to have it.
Right. And that may go back to also the histamine intolerance. So the way that Len described it to me was you have a histamine bucket, if you will,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
once it gets to the point where it's overflowing, that's when you start having the issues, the flare ups, the IBS, the nausea, the skin issues,
Mhm.
things like that. But your body can handle a certain amount. So at least with me, I'm trying to get my bucket to stop being overflowed and to kinda
Right.
empty out some so that I
Yes.
can eat a little bit of the
Mhm.
higher histamine foods and not have an issue, right? So,
Yeah.
hopefully hopefully, I'm experimenting right now, and hopefully that's gonna be the case. And,
Yeah.
with you, maybe that's the case too, and hopefully you can find some relief in regards to that.
I'm gonna definitely go watch her video because I'm getting ready to do a fast at the beginning of January. And when I start reintroducing foods again, I will try to limit the histamine foods and see how I do, whether or not I'm still struggling with these kinds of issues. Because that, like I said, the dihydrotic eczema is enough for me to make me want to try experimentation to try to make sure that I get rid of that because it's very, very debilitating, I would say. It's hard because it's on my hands, so and you
Mhm.
use your hands to do everything,
Right, for sure, yeah,
So, yeah, so
absolutely.
it's a struggle.
So Lynn has MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, which is a
Mhm.
huge histamine thing. And I talked with another lady that actually had MCAS, and
Mm.
it's gone now. So that's an autoimmune condition that's pretty severe with histamines. And she avoided
Wow.
the high histamine foods to the point where that system in her body calmed down enough that over time it actually was able to heal. And now she doesn't have an issue with high histamine foods.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So
Okay,
there's
I'm gonna
hope
go
for
check
it.
it out. I hope so, yeah. Yeah, that could be problematic. I mean, if I think about the seasonal allergies and all the different things, that I've had over the course of my life, it could very well be in histamine. I used to go on these hay rides when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I'm severely allergic to hay,
Oh,
but,
wow.
everybody was going on a hayride and my eyes would swell so bad. The white
Oh,
parts of
man.
my eyes would swell, but the pupil would
Horrible.
not swell. So it would look like I have a tunnel in my eyes.
Really?
Crazy. Yeah,
Wow.
it was so crazy just how
Oh, my goodness.
badly the allergies were when I was a kid. It was terrible.
Oh, goodness. Wow. So you're on this carnivore diet. What does it look like in a typical day for you in terms of what you're eating?
Yeah. So I usually eat twice a day. Typically, I'll have breakfast around 11 or 12. Um, in the morning or afternoon, as the case
Right.
may be, somewhere
Mhm.
between 11 and 12. And I'll usually have eggs and bacon. And then maybe somewhere around 5 or 6 p.m., I'll have dinner, and that's usually
Right.
steak or some kind of chuck roast, um, chuck eye steak, ribeye steak, usually beef in particular. Sometimes I'll do something like oxtail or some other kind of beef. Um, Sometimes I do lamb every now and then sometimes I'll do chicken. So, and then pork chops, we do eat that sometimes, but typically it's eggs and bacon for breakfast or sausage and bacon, sausage and eggs for breakfast, and then for
Nice.
dinner, some kind of a beef steak. Yeah.
Nice.
And I cook it. The way I cook my beef is the most favorite way that I'm enjoying my steaks now is just putting them in the cast iron skillet for a couple of minutes on either side, and then putting it in the oven on broil until it gets up to, like 130, 133 for medium rare, and it's so delicious, so perfect. And then I
Now I'm
also
hungry.
yeah, I know. I'm ready to go upstairs and cook I'm having, steak bites for dinner, so
Oh,
I'm ready to
nice.
go cook them now, and it's 12:30. Yay.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, so, I'm really enjoying I think that's the most simple way to eat, right? Is it's just
Mhm.
kind of the same thing almost every day, and it's so satiating and so enjoyable. That's probably the main thing that I'll crave is a steak. I'll be like, "Okay, I had chicken, I had pork, I must have a steak," you know? I'm gonna have to have a steak because it's just I do crave sometimes having, like, a ribeye steak. So,
Oh,
yeah.
definitely. That's definitely a
Mhm.
thing for sure.
Yep,
Absolutely. So you said you have 11 grandchildren,
I
which is
do.
really awesome. So what does that look like in terms of what do they think of grandma, eating this way?
Wow, so let me think about that. They all probably each have a different opinion about it, but they all know that I'm a carnivore. They
Okay.
know that I'm gonna give them some meat.
Oh,
I'm gonna give
awesome.
them some meat, maybe some purse bacon if I have it. This
Nice.
morning we had sausage. So my one grandson is a carnivore like me.
Okay.
And he's like, I want more sausage, more sausage, more sausage. I'm
Nice.
like, okay, that's enough sausage,
Right.
can't eat all the sausage from everybody else. Um, but he is really, I think he may grow up and be a carnivore when he gets
Yeah,
grown, when he
sounds
is
like it
able
for
to
sure.
choose for himself. Um, my Some of my grandkids don't eat pork at all, so they don't get to have bacon, but they're like, oh, when they grow up, he's like, one of my grandsons told me, when I grow up, I'm gonna eat sausage. I'm like, yes, when you grow up, you can eat sausage.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, they're encouraging, I was over there, I'm doing sprints now. I
Oh,
decided to
wow.
challenge myself to do sprints 3 days a week because of the visceral fat that Dr.
Mhm.
Sean O'Mara talks about. And he was talking about how dangerous that is.
Mhm.
So I started doing the sprints. So day before yesterday, I was doing sprints and my granddaughter was being my motivation girl, motivating me to finish that. So that was,
Nice.
they know I do all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool because I'm young enough to still be interesting.
Right? Well,
Yeah.
according to Maggie, you're not even middle-aged yet, so
Right. Yes. I was starting to feel like, oh, the old age decline before I went on carnivore. I was really feeling like, okay, I have my kind of my dream house, right? It's got a big upstairs loft with just um the bedroom upstairs. It's probably 20 stairs.
right.
But I was thinking, I'm gonna have to move downstairs because these knees are not gonna allow me to keep going upstairs like this.
Mhm.
Um, my knees are going bad. And I went to the orthopedic doctor and he's like, yep, come back in 10 years when you need a knee replacement.
Oh
There's
my
nothing we're
goodness.
going to be able to do for you right now. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
So, I'm hobbling up the stairs and my back hurts and just overall feeling a bad feeling,
Mhm.
like I'm getting old. Well, I don't really have that feeling now that I'm eating the proper human diet. I'm not really feeling like that. I'm able to go up and down the stairs, though I still have, because I have a bone on bone situation going on in my knee, no cartilage there. So I still have a little bit of pain, but
Mhm.
I don't feel like, okay, I'm going to have to move downstairs because I can't go up and down. So that's been really beneficial. And just having less inflammation is really, it takes years off of your aging. Like, I felt like I was about 10 to 15 years older than I am, you know?
Right.
But now I don't feel like that because I don't have that inflammation that's weighing me down and making me feel sore all over.
Right. So do you feel like you're 57 now or
I feel like I'm 47,
okay,
37
nice.
maybe.
Oh, that's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I feel younger than I did. Yeah, it's definitely like I'm doing sprints. Like, of course, when you look at my sprint, you might think those are someone else's jog. They're jogging, but I'm sprinting, and that's pretty amazing. With my knee, I didn't think I would be able to do it. I just was gonna challenge myself, and the most I've done before, I ran a 5K a few years ago, um, maybe 10 years ago, and, after that, I never ran again. I ran the 5K, and I ran the whole thing, and then I stopped running and never ran again
Nice.
until
Check that
now.
off.
I'm doing these exactly, check. Now I'm doing these sprints and it feels really empowering to be able to do it. So I'm excited
That's
about it.
awesome. I love to hear
Mhm.
that. That's amazing. So where do you sprint to?
I have a treadmill.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just my neighborhood is pretty hilly. So I
Mhm.
thought about sprinting outside, but I don't want to hurt myself.
Not in front
So
of everybody,
instead,
right?
right, exactly. So but when in the spring, I'll probably go to the track and sprint around the track. We have a college near our house.
Okay.
So I'll probably go to the college track and sprint around the track. But right now I'm just sprinting on the treadmill.
Very cool. Awesome. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty
one
excited
thing that
about
I
it.
that's awesome. One thing I'm curious about is budget on carnivore. A lot of people say that it's expensive, they can't afford meat, things like that. What's been your experience in terms of how it's impacted your budget?
Yeah. So it's just myself and my husband for the most part, and then when the grandkids come, I'll have to shop for them or whatever.
Hmm.
And I typically buy some portion of a cow every year. So that stays the same. I mean, the price of everything has gone up, period. It's just everything is more expensive these days, I feel like.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't have to go really into the center aisles of the store to buy very many things. My husband he's like keto war, I would call it, because he's mostly meat based because that's all I cook.
Right.
So, but he still eats vegetables. He still eats like some low carb breads and stuff like that. So I'll pick up a few things for him. But for the most part, all of that money that I was spent in the middle of the store buying chips and whatever the other things I can't even remember, soups
Hmm.
and all this different stuff that I would buy. I don't
Right.
have to buy any of that. So I pretty much can go to the meat and buy the meat, and that's it. I'll sometimes get meat that's on sale, so to try to keep the costs down. But yes, I mean, if you're buying everything and you're buying meat, then of course it seems expensive.
Mm.
But if you're just buying meat, you're avoiding all of the costs that you would have had for all those other things that you don't no longer have to buy. So I'm not finding it to be cost prohibitive for me. And then the other thing that I'll do is I'll buy in bulk. So I'll go to like Costco or Sam's and buy a large quantity of ribeye or New York. whatever's on sale, New York
Right.
strips, and then I'll cut them myself and freeze them, and then I'll have a stockpile that way. So, yeah,
Nice.
I mean, it could be expensive if you're buying everything, that's what I think.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I've experienced similar savings.
Mhm.
I probably spent 33%, a third of what I was spending before for sure, because I'm not, doing snacks at the gas station, at
Mhm.
Starbucks, and this and that. I mean, it's just,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, just the Starbucks budget was quite something, right? Yeah.
yeah, that's so ridiculous. I can't believe I spent money on that sort of thing. But
I know,
so
I know.
now I kind of want to switch gears to something that is important to you. And so, what motivated you to specifically reach out to the African American community about your dietary journey?
Well, that's a great question, Adam. So, one of the things that is really, really close to my heart is that I'm seeing a trend in my community toward vegan and vegetarian diets. And I feel like uh, mostly plant based diets is is being recommended. Of course, for everybody, not just for African Americans, but
Hmm.
I'm a black woman,
Right.
clearly. So I'm concerned that, and when I look around, if you think about this, when you look around, even on the YouTube community, you don't see a lot of African Americans um, or people of color that are out here talking about the carnivore diet. I
True.
do see some, very few. When I went to look myself for, somebody that looked like me that was doing it, I couldn't find anybody. And this was probably about, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. I was searching because when I started the carnivore diet, I knew I would start my YouTube channel. I started making videos, but I never posted anything. So then I started looking around, and there was a lady, um, the black carnivore that was out there, but I didn't see her active anymore.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was concerned that the black community is not getting the memo, you know. And so I decided, Carrie, of course, encouraged us all to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
like, "You need to start a YouTube channel, Robin." That's what
Hmm.
I heard him say.
Right. Absolutely.
So, I just wanted to make sure that we know that this community does know and understand that there's another option. There's another good, viable option, probably a better option than the options that we've been presented with. I'm seeing a lot of, type 2 diabetes, kidney disease, all the PCOS, all these metabolic syndromes, heart disease, strokes, all of this stuff that probably could be prevented
Hmm.
with a dietary change. A simple dietary change. When I say simple, I mean it's a very simple method, not necessarily easy to do, right?
Right.
But we're not getting the memo. Even, my mom went to the doctor, I don't know, maybe about a month ago and told the doctor that she was doing a carnivore diet. She was trying it with me.
Hmm.
And the doctor said, "No, you can't. You can't do that. You can't do that. You need to have fruit and vegetables and fiber for your gut microbiome." Well, that's just not true. You don't. You actually don't need fruit or vegetables or fiber in a proper human diet. So
Absolutely.
I decided that I felt like a call literally from God to speak out about it. Because, and not that I'm all that or nothing. I'm just a regular person who's doing the
Hmm.
carnivore diet. And but I felt like we need to at least hear the message that this is an option for you to try. And I feel like if people try it, they're gonna find, such a great benefit toward doing it. But people are afraid to try it because we've been taught and told that you're gonna have a heart attack. your cholesterol is going to go through the roof, and that's going to kill you, which is, I mean, the whole cholesterol topic is just crazy. Like,
Mhm.
human bodies need cholesterol. That's why our bodies make cholesterol, right? So I mean, and then the research is coming out so slowly about, about this dietary change. Um, but so that's just my passion is there to speak to my community along with everybody else, anybody who's willing to listen, um, to talk about the fact that there's another option out here, and you need to do some research and check into it and see if it's something that you can do because we don't have to have all this illness, even dementia and Alzheimer's. That's something that I'm concerned about my own self because it runs in my family. My grandmother died with dementia and just in fear, you know, and I don't want to have that for my own life. So that's
Mhm.
something that I'm willing to give up many things to be able to not have to live like that. So
Right. Yeah, that's
just a
awesome. I
passion.
love that. So it's interesting that you say that, within the African American community, that veganism is sort of, on the rise and things like that, because that's definitely, I noticed that myself with some of my friends and, they're diehard with this veganism. And I just want to ask them, like, wait, how do you feel though? Like,
Right.
do you feel good or, cause they're obviously seeing some results, with weight loss and stuff like that, and they seem like they're motivated, but I just want to ask him, like, how do you feel? Because the way that I feel eating a carnivore diet just seems like light years different than when I was eating a vegan diet. Like I felt
Mhm.
miserable when I was eating a vegan diet. And,
And I think that's true. I feel like there's a lot of depression.
mhm,
My grandson is a vegan, and I notice he's not energetic, let me put it that way.
right.
He seems low. He's very, very thin. I mean, I'm sure that, he doesn't wanna gain a lot of weight, but he has skin issues, a lot of acne,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to tell him, there's a better way. For a young 17-year-old boy, there's a better way for you to live than and that feeling like, I just talked about it on my 300-day video, that feeling, that overall sense of well-being I've never experienced before
Right.
carnivore.
Hmm.
Even when I was on keto and I felt great, that feeling, that carnivore zen that everybody talks about, if you haven't done it, you probably haven't felt it. And I
Exactly.
don't think that vegans feel that way. I think vegans feel frustrated, to be honest, and I'll tell you why. A lot of times they want to have something that they can't have on a vegan diet,
Right.
right?
Yep.
They wanna have cake or, they wanna have, um, they wanna have whatever it is. They wanna have bacon.
Hmm.
They wanna have something that has a meat product in it, but they can't have it. And
Yep.
they're like, "Oh, I really want." I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem.
Yep.
If there's nothing that I want besides coffee, which I did want the other day, that I'm not able to have. I don't
Hmm.
have a craving for anything that's not on my diet. Now that is really unique. Um, you literally, if you've never experienced that, then I think you need to try the carnivore diet.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Felt the exact same way. I felt like I was punishing myself eating a vegan diet. I was doing it in solidarity with my business partner that had cancer, and he started a
Mhm.
vegan diet essentially to try to eliminate his cancer. And I did it. I didn't know the difference, in
Right.
diet. It was diet's a diet, whatever. So at that point, I'm just like, I'm going to do this with you. And my symptoms and conditions started getting worse over time,
Yeah.
and I just felt horrible, and it was like I felt
Mhm.
like I was starving no matter how much spinach I put into the blender. it just kept getting worse and worse to the point where
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to do something. This is me and my health. And I took control of that. But some vegans, obviously have that moral dilemma. They don't
Yes.
want to eat meat because they believe it's killing and things like that. But man, i- if your health is deteriorating, you have to question, you know, I don't even know how to put that into words. You
Well,
got this
yeah,
moral dilemma, and then you got your health is failing. So somehow you got to come to terms with that.
my husband's aunt and uncle were on vegan diet for many, many years, and she ended up having adrenal failure, and they had to go back, on eating meat, so including meat in their diet. And I mean, that was the recommendation from their physician and stuff, is that they had
Wow.
to go back to eating meat, because humans are supposed to eat meat. And the thing of it is, what I'm understanding about the killing is that when they process these plants, they kill all kinds of animals to get the food out of the field. Those machines are going through killing all kinds of animals, not
Mhm.
just one cow that can feed several families. When we buy a cow, if we bought a whole cow, it's going to feed like 5 families for a year,
Mhm.
you know, whereas when you run in that machine through the field, killing rabbits and squirrels and all kinds of animals, to
Yep,
get the food out of the field, so there is no human existence without death.
for
This,
sure.
I mean, there isn't.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think, vegan, I think, I'm concerned about that. I was talking to Dr. Tony Hampton, and he was saying that Dr. Sabi, this
Mhm.
Dr. Sabi guy was talking about veganism,
Mhm.
and, and a lot of people got drawn in to that topic by Dr. Sabi. So, I don't know, but all I know is there's a better way. And humans are supposed to eat meat, um, and our bodies are designed to process meat. And what we've been told is that our bodies can't process meat. We've been brainwashed into thinking that meat sits in your gut and rots, and it doesn't pass through your system, and all these kinds of things when that are just actually not. They're just not true. So
That just
yeah,
sounds so ridiculous.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I'm gonna keep talking about it. I have a million ideas about things that I need to say, but getting them all onto a video is more challenging. But yes, I have a lot to say, and I definitely feel a call to speak out about this, and make sure that we get the memo.
That's awesome. I love that. So if somebody's watching this and, they made it this far and they're considering eating a carnivore diet or a ketovore, something that's low carb, what would be your suggestion to them?
Okay, so I would suggest that they start with like a BBB&E, which is beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. It's very, very simple. And then that would be basically all you would eat is beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. Um, if you really need to have chicken, okay, add a little chicken. But that's a great way to start. I would recommend that you do 90 days of a carnivore diet, to start with. I wouldn't start with like a week or 2 weeks. I don't think that gives your body long enough to convert over to a fat burning state. And then 30 days is not even long enough to really see the benefit. And even 90 days is probably because your body is going through such a healing process. And if you think about all the time that we've spent damaging our bodies with all these processed foods and chemicals and all the things that we've been ingesting, it's going to take some time for your body to heal. But 90 days is a good trial. And that will give you a long enough to see, is this, do I really feel much better? And I think in 30 days, you're going to feel so much better. You won't want to give up on it. Um, So BBB and E. Also, I recommend that if you're going from a standard American diet to a carnivore diet, you definitely want to supplement with electrolytes. Um, and so there's lots of videos out here about how you can make your own homemade electrolyte drinks. I use LMNT. And then there's also Keto Chow electrolyte drops that you can use. So, but I do recommend electrolyte drops because you can avoid what they call the keto or carnivore flu by supplementing with electrolytes. And if you don't do that and you're going from a standard American diet to a carnivore diet, you're probably going to get the keto flu and feel pretty sick because you're going to be flushing out your electrolytes as that inflammation flows out of your body.
Oh, yeah.
So those are my recommendations. I mean, I would start with just getting out all of the processed foods, getting out all of the sugars and just going with a very, very simple BBB&E, um, and, uh, and then doing that for 90 days.
Awesome. I love that. So, Robin, where can everyone find you on the internet?
So I am on YouTube at Robin Heron at Carnivorous Grandma, and it's GRAMA. Everybody says grandma, but it's no grandma. They call me grandma. So Carnivorous Grandma. I'm also on Instagram at Carnivorous Grandma, Robin Heron on Facebook, and Carnivorous Grandma on TikTok.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I'll definitely link all those in the description below for everybody that anybody that wants to connect with Robin and maybe has some questions for you and things like that, they'll be able to reach you. So, thank you so much for joining me. It has been very special to me that you were able to share your journey with me. I think that you're going to help many with your journey and your story. It's so inspiring that, what you're doing and your experiences. And I love what you're doing for the African American community and the world at large. You're an inspiration to me, Robin. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.